If you're an agent in the Treasure Valley or you're looking to refer business to the Treasure Valley, here's what you need to know about what's happening in our market today. We're actually going to take a look at two questions. One, when will inventory peak? And number two, will we get relief in pricing? So if you want to know more about those two questions, watch the rest of this video. All right, so when will we see a peak in inventory? Before we discuss what that looks like, let's actually take a look at the numbers super fast. When you zoom in on the inventory, which we do every month here, this kind of gives you an active inventory for the Boise area. You can see this is the past 12 months. Currently, we are at the highest we've been in the last 12 months. We have 1,070 active listings right now. When will we actually see the peak? One of the things I want to point out, it happens every year like clockwork. We have seasonality. And, I've coached real estate agents all over the country, and different markets have different seasonality. For example, if you're in, Phoenix, Arizona, that's let's say a snowbird economy over there. So we see a lot of people move from cold parts of the country to live there in the winter. Well, they have the most inventory and the most buying activity during the winter. Whereas here in Boise, we actually see the school year typically be when a lot of sellers are going to pull their homes off the market. So as we look at the inventory levels here, you can actually see we peaked in the last 12 months. Our peak on this side of the cycle, if you will, was 943. We had 943 listings in August. And I would actually anticipate that to be the same thing this year as well. We will have more inventory by the end of July. So, 30 days from now when you're seeing this video, I would predict that inventory will actually be up. And then I think for August, it'll be up a little bit more. And then I think we'll start to see it go down in September. So what's the significance of that? Well, the more homes that are on the market for a buyer, there's more options to choose from, and you're probably going to end up with more frustrated sellers or sellers who are like, hey, I need to get this thing sold because I have to sell it before the school year starts, so they might be more willing to make a deal. So if I'm a buyer, this is actually a really interesting time to go purchase a property. I would say, the month of July and the month of August are great times if you can make it work and you don't have to juggle schools or it's not a big deal for you. That might work out perfect. By the way, if you enter into contract, let's say in August, you write up an offer in August, and you're looking to get into a certain school district for your kids, if that happens to be your circumstance, you can use your contract, your accepted purchase and sale agreement, to enroll in the school district. I've had clients do that in the past. So mileage may vary. You want to double check with your school before you just take that to the bank. But I have had clients do that before and get their kids into the school that they wanted them to with an accepted purchase and sale agreement. So now that we've got that part figured out, when will it peak? Well, I believe it's going to peak in August. So if you're a buyer, next 2 or 3 months, great time to be out there looking at purchasing property. How about relief in pricing? Like, what would need to happen for us to get some relief in pricing? I was looking at some national data, and the national data actually suggests that we haven't seen pricing really go up or down nationally for the last 2 years. It's been pretty static. So let's look at what it's done in the Boise area. As we come down here, this is showing you pricing over the last essentially 10 years. And we've had a lot of price appreciation. In fact, 2023 was the only year in the last 10 years where we didn't see price appreciation. Now, keep in mind, this is the average sold price. So what that means is it's the average price that homes are selling for. It doesn't necessarily mean that pricing actually went up. So it's key to know that. For example, like if you bought a home 3 years ago for $400,000, it doesn't mean that home today is worth more money because the market went up on average. It just means the average price of homes selling has gone up by X percent. That's what this property means, or that's what this graph means when it's talking about average sold price. So, we've gone up 3.1% in terms of average sold price this year. It could just be the case that we're seeing more expensive homes selling, not that they've gone up in value. So if that doesn't make sense, you can put it in the comments or reach out to me directly. I can tell you the best thing that you can do is you can reach out to your favorite real estate professional. If you don't have one, we'd love to help you out at City Trees Real Estate. But you can reach out to your favorite real estate professional and have them look at your specific home to tell you what's happened with it. Because real estate is very local, and there's certain markets that are seeing appreciation, certain markets and price points that are seeing appreciation, and there's some markets and price points that are not. So when will we actually get relief? Well, if you've been watching this for a while, you know that we're not going to get relief until two things take place. The first one, at least for buyer relief, it's important for you guys to know that interest rates have a way bigger impact on your cost of living than the prices ultimately do. 1% in interest rate change, just 1%, is a massive, massive, massive change to the amount of home that you can actually afford. And we can run numbers and show you what all that looks like. The last statistic I heard was that if the rates go down by 1%, so right now they're roughly 7%. If they go down by 1%, that's 5 million additional people that are able to actually purchase. It doesn't mean they will. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means that 5 million people become eligible. So interest rates are a big, big, big deal. So if you're a buyer and you're thinking like, oh, I'm going to wait for prices to come down. Well, interest rates staying up will cause prices to come down, right? Inventory. So interest rates staying up means that less people can afford the homes, which means that over time, you'll actually see inventory increasing, kind of like we're seeing right now. This is not dramatic increase, by the way. We're only at 2.5 months. Oops, you guys got to actually see this, right? This is not a dramatic increase. We're only at 2.5 months supply when we come down to the overall Boise market. We have 2.5 months supply. So, that to me in this market is absolutely still a seller's market. Now, it's functioning a little bit different than a traditional seller's market. Traditional seller's market would be, prices are getting exactly what they're asking, and, sometimes we're getting multiple offers and properties bid up. If we look at the data right here, I can show you guys that we are seeing from the original sold to the original ratio, we're getting 98.6%. That means that on average, we're having to lower the prices for our sellers by 1.4% to get a deal done. So whatever you see the property come out on the MLS at, on the very first time that's listed, those sellers are having to lower their price by 1.4%, either lowering the price like before you purchase it, or they're negotiating directly with that buyer to get a deal done. Now, in a traditional seller's market, we might see that closer to 99, 100. We've seen over 100% on that number. So even though the inventory suggests that it's a seller's market, which it is, it's a little funky right now because there's certain people that have to sell their property, and maybe they're pricing it too high, or they're still feeling like, hey, there's not much out there. And then you have buyers that are a little hesitant. Hey, rates are high. I'd love to buy this property, but because rates are high, I'm not going to, spend an arm and a leg to buy it. So I want some negotiation. I want to feel like I'm winning because I feel like I'm losing on the rate side. So when do we see pricing relief? Well, you got to see inventory go up. How do you see inventory go up? Man, there's so many different ways that could happen. The foreseeable, logical ways that it happens is we just have more homes built in the market, which is not happening, by the way. The cities are, when you go to the new construction side, here's the new construction data. When we go over to this, you can see that we have 724 active listings right now on the new construction side. That's 3.3 months. Builders have been very cautious to add inventory to the market because they're just not sure if interest rates are going to stay up or even go up even higher. They want to see a direction from the Federal Reserve before they really commit to going all in. And you also see cities are really struggling. We see this all over the Treasure Valley right now. CUNA is getting a lot of pressure from the school districts, so they don't want to approve more lots because the schools can't handle it. Seeing the same thing in Star with the fire department. They don't have enough budget for their firemen to be able to service the growing population. So they're putting a lot of pressure on builders and developers, and all the cities are doing this in various ways. Lots of pressure on builders and developers right now to spend more money, and it's slowing that down. So we're not going to see relief from builders and developers. That's not going to happen in a short term. I mean, it would take years before we start to see relief from the building side. So you need to see some other event, maybe some sort of large layoff event that affects the Treasure Valley. I don't know what that could be, but that could be something that causes more inventory, because people can't afford their homes and they need to sell, or they need to move out of town to get jobs. There is a large construction contingent in our valley, and with construction slowing down, a lot of those workers are having to find work elsewhere. But that's baby phases right now. We're in the very early phases of that. So inventory's got to go up to get some pricing relief. I don't see anything that's going to cause inventory to skyrocket. So if you're waiting to buy, if you're waiting for prices to come down, I think you're much more likely to see rates come down a little bit, which, by the way, is a better impact for your budget than prices would ever be. I say ever. You'd have to see dramatic price changes before they outpace interest rates. So long story, really short. Those are your answers to the questions. I think inventory peaks this year in August, like it typically does. I think you're going to see a lot of homes fall off the market in September because families are going to want to settle in and say, you know what, didn't sell my home. I'm going to stay put for the school year. And then I think you're also going to see pricing stay very steady. I don't see it increasing rapidly. I think this 3% increase for this year so far is very, very, very healthy. I would guess over the next 12 months, you're probably going to see 0 to 3% again. I don't see pricing jumping up unless we get a much needed movement in interest rates, and then you start to see buyers come off the fence. Just like I said, if interest rates drop 1%, that's an additional 5 million people in the United States that can buy. What percentage that's in Idaho? No idea. But it's a significant amount, and it would cause a lot more buyers to come into the market, which actually would put pressure on prices to go up. So very, very interest rate driven market. If you guys have questions on any of these numbers or the data, if you guys want to see this data sent to you, either new construction or existing, if this is something that interests you like it does us, reach out to us. Any of your favorite City of Trees real estate agents can get you this data. And we'll see you guys here in about a month.